Hello and welcome back, guys. We are casting game number 2, WhiteRa versus Sidewinder. We saw Sidewinder taking the previous game by just having a much better army when he rolled into WhiteRa's base. Even though WhiteRa had a ton more minerals, he was not sticking on top of the second half of macro. And yeah, just lost that game. And once again, they're actually telling each other where they are, even though on this map you always spawn cross positions because this is MLG Xel'Naga's Plateau. And with me once again is my co-caster.
I'm Dylan, I'm co-casting.
Yeah, say hello to Dylan. Doing some games with me, that's pretty awesome. And we're going on to game 2 and we're going to see who's going to win. And some weird chat in the message log, not really sure what the hell they're talking about. Oh, they're just making sure that the cross positions were enforced for cross positional spawns, which, yes, they are, if you didn't know. The MLG version enforces cross position, whereas the regular tournament Blizzard ladder map does not allow them to spawn close by ground position. Also, the MLG version still has the destructible rocks in the back, which the Blizzard version no longer allows you entrance into the back of their base through those rocks.
They should warp in each other's back door.
Warping in the back door, night is in the natural. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Both players going for a very similar build. WhiteRa once again being slightly ahead on his timings, but also he did not send out the scout into his opponent's base quite as early, so that might be another reason why he's a little bit better with his timings right now. No procs. No procies. Procies.
I like how they're governing themselves.
Yeah. Well, as I said, they have told me that they decided, let's make some interesting games for you guys. The first game was a little bit, it wasn't as interesting because it just basically was a late game I push and win in one move. But they definitely said we want to try and stay away from that four-gating and make these games a little more interesting to cast. But you know what? Some good cheese once in a while is pretty damn fun to cast anyways. Oh, there we go. We see the probe, WhiteRa's probe, trying to kill that pylon, but being chased away by Sidewinder's probe as the cybernetics core goes down for both players at pretty much the exact same time. Yeah, within 1 second of each other. That's amusing. Oh, we see everything WhiteRa does is actually slightly ahead of his opponent. He's slightly ahead on the harvest account, slightly ahead on the income. Just don't know how he does it, but just a little bit tighter timings and Sidewinder pulling everything out just a little bit faster. And doing a gas steal. Once again, I really don't suggest this in PvP, but WhiteRa chooses to do this. He says, in his mind, he says, basically by stealing their gas, you're forcing them to a one gas, four gate build. Because you prevent them from teching up as fast. But really, yeah, okay, sure. But most of the time you really don't want them to one gas, four gate you, so I'm not a big fan of this suggestion, as a lot of the ways to defend against four gate, other than a four gate, need those every minerals they can get to make sure that you don't fall behind. But we see a super fast robotics bay coming out from Sidewinder. Oh, and look at this. The probe gets killed off in WhiteRa's base by that stalker. A little bit of micro there from WhiteRa to pick it off.
He canceled the building, WhiteRa.
Yeah, I don't know if that was important or just misplacement. As we can see though, interestingly enough, Sidewinder chose for this sort of wall-in route that I would only really use against Zerg. Not too sure why he chose sort of wall in there. Usually in PvP these buildings are a liability because, or especially in PvT, these buildings always end up being a liability as they prevent the movement of your army from defending your base. These are buildings that can be sniped if your army has to hide up on the high ground and they have units that can outrange your army. Oh, go ahead.
Sidewinder's finally taking out that gas.
Yeah, he took it out, and we see WhiteRa throwing down his robotics. But what I really want to point out is I like the fact that Sidewinder has chosen to go for an immortal without having an observer out, and he wanted to get that early immortal. That's quite interesting, knowing that his opponent can't have DTs in his base yet. So he's saying, okay, I'm going to be getting out an immortal first, and then probably an observer very soon. No, another immortal.
Nope. Second
and
portal.
Supply block himself. There we go. That pylon finishing just in time, so he's not supply blocked.
That classic supply block.
But we are going... Oh no, Sidewinder is supply blocked. My bad. He was the one at 32 out of 34, not looking at the right part of the screen. Of course, building 2 more pylons in response. And we see WhiteRa going very sentry heavy right now, surprisingly. I wouldn't really suggest going sentry heavy when you're doing a tech play where you're getting immortals and observers out, as it really does dig into the amount of gas for all of your tech.
And I like when players get scared of supply blocks, so they throw down like 6 pylons at one time.
Because that's something you've never done, right? The only thing I do, like Sidewinder, you just want to take a look at his base, see how he has vision of everything. That's always something good players will do, so they'll use these pylons to make sure they have vision of their whole base. But the only thing I don't like is he's left all of his buildings powered by a single pylon. This early in the game can be a little bit dangerous because it's a little harder to get dropped this early in the game, but it's really easy for them to get into your base, take out one pylon, and there you go. Half your production's gone, and you might just lose the game.
WhiteRa got Warp Gate out and has an immortal finally.
Yeah, and we see him throw down that expansion a while ago. It's just over half done now, so definitely way ahead on the macro game with the expansion. But as we saw last game, he got ahead in the macro game, but forgot about the other half macro, which is your production.
And I think he had too many workers also. That's why he had 5,000 minerals.
Yeah, but he just wasn't spending his money there. But we can see once again ahead in the harvest account. Oh, and there we go. Observer finally coming out for Sidewinder. Slowly making its way across the map. These observers might pass and say hi. How you doing, buddy? Nope, a little bit too far apart. Oh, yes, they were close enough to see each other. So definitely they said hi. Past pleasantries since they can't attack. I'm not a big... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sidewinder's going for his expansion, and he's starting to move out with his army.
I'm really not a big fan, though, WhiteRa choosing to chase the enemy observer rather than to scout his opponent. Considering he has no probe scouting right now, I really would have liked to have seen him do the scout instead of try and chase down this observer to kill it, but he will kill it off nonetheless, and the army does get scouted by WhiteRa's stalker that is sitting out here, so really his scouting, he knows what's coming. And we'll see what happens with these force fields. So he could do a lot of damage, and he does. Cuts off the 2 sentries and a zealot for free. Not a good choice. Sidewinder really needs to back out here, as he just cannot engage with those force fields, and there's way too much energy on those sentries. He will not be able to get in there anytime soon with a frontal assault. Pretty standard play. Once again, though, Sidewinder choosing to spend the monies on choosing to spend some of his minerals on cannons to defend his natural. Something I really don't suggest doing that often, unless you know their army is a lot bigger than yours and will come in and crush you, which really isn't the case right now.
Sidewinder's getting out some more immortals, and neither player's really started to really tech up yet. They're focusing more on the level 1 production.
Yeah, once again though, we do see WhiteRa forgetting to transfer the gas, and there we go, finally transferring to his gas. Always a little bit late on that, so something you don't really want to get into.
He has a robotics bay now.
And the observer does get sniped, so he doesn't get any valuable scouting information. Once again, double Stargate build coming out. This is quite interesting. And yeah, he's got... Where's the Robo Bay out? There it is. I see it. So he'll be winning that race to Colossi Tech, but he's building another observer now because that one got taken out. Oh, looks like he's gonna... No, not... Yeah, he is going to be doing some expanding now. And a little bit of scouting. The Stalker with a bit of micro will easily take out this Zealot. But if he does not realize in time, the Zealot does so much damage. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of micro from both players trying to keep their units alive. Oh! The vision from the Xel'Naga Watchtower giving the Zealot a small advantage there. Using it quite nicely with those bushes. I really like that micro coming out from Sidewinder. And we see Thermal Lance upgrade on the way for WhiteRa, and we see Sidewinder finally getting his Robo Bay almost done. And double Stargates once again pumping out those double Void Rays. This is quite an interesting play. I have not seen him PvP that much.
Then we have WhiteRa has his hidden expansion at the bottom left, and Sidewinder really isn't scouting right now for any of those.
Yeah, he really doesn't do much scouting around the rest of the map to check for players taking expansions that, you could say aren't nice. Oh, look, gonna see some intensive micro going on here, fighting for this Watchtower, but Sidewinder's gonna lose because there's a Stalker here to back it up, and I don't know if the Zealot will even get away alive. A second Zealot was coming in to help, but it had to turn away and run as well. Oh, that Stalker, just for a second, did it get a... No, it will get the kill.
And I think scouting is a big part in being able to effectively counter your opponent.
Yeah, once you get up into the platinum level, you really need to learn how to scout. Basically, in the bronze and silver league, you're really just scouting for cheese or really, really weird builds. It's really just cheese as the majority, and then really weird builds a little bit. Once you get into the gold league, you're definitely starting to scout to say, what are they doing? And of course, any league you're always scouting for cheese, but in the gold league, you start saying, what are they doing? And in platinum league is when you really start, when you really need to be able to scout and get that extra information so you don't get blindsided. As we can see, WhiteRa just slightly ahead by having 1 Colossi over his opponent. Has a lot of Stalkers in comparison, 15 to 4, has 5 less Zealots, but overall has a much better army, even with the Void Rays being counted. His army right now would do a ton of damage, but there are the 2 cannons here, so Sidewinder probably would be able to hold if an attack were to come. Once again, we see WhiteRa powering through those workers, already up to 71 Harvesters, getting full saturation at those 3 bases, more or less. Not gas yet, though, at his 3rd, which is something he really should be doing with this high-tech play. Double Colossi coming out now, though, out of 2 Robo-Bays. He might indeed just win this game by having that much better of an army. See the Observer parking itself right there, and the Void Rays probably going to do a little bit of harass. The Observer did see them, but chose not to follow. I don't know if WhiteRa just wasn't paying attention to his minimap or what. Once again, doing his double upgrades from Double Forge, getting the Twilight Council a little bit earlier, and oh, he did the Void Rays because his entire army is now in position to defend.
And if the Void Race had gotten bottom left, he would have just draped that expansion.
He definitely would have, but of course, not really scouting for that type of stuff, so not seeing it. You know, in PvP, you don't often scout the entire map as much, but it's definitely something to consider, and he'll be focusing on these units right now, so they really shouldn't... Oh, there we go. Perfect control, not even taking any damage. Seeing that army there and just running away. I still see Sidewinder being stuck on a single Robo Bay, but double Stargates, and really low on the gateway count, only 3 gateways out, so he's got to make sure that he's building off of those constantly to make sure he has a decent sized ground army until he has the number he wants. But it will make it hard to re-macro up if he doesn't build some more gateways soon. Something he really should do once you get into the late game, because once you lose your whole army, the only thing you can reproduce quite fast is gateway units. And oh my god, WhiteRa just having a dominating number of Void Rays and Stalkers here. Sorry, Colossi and Stalkers. And really, this is a really good mix against this composition, as long as he can snipe out Void Rays before they manage to do... before most of his army melts away, he'll be perfectly fine. But if he does not focus down those Void Rays, he could be in a lot of this army composition.
Oh, I hit the back button. Draven, what time are you at?
I could not tell you right now, but I am 1825. Oh, there's a little timer here. Sorry guys that I showed you the rest. But 1825, 1835 right now.
Hey.
And we do see the army of What pushing out quite a large army. Really has the advantage here. Sidewinder also moving out. And will these two armies... Oh man, WhiteRa here. If he... Oh! Man, this could be really bad for him, as most of his Stalkers are out of position. But no. Sidewinder choosing to fall back. Blink being used beautifully. Looks like the Colossi are being sniped instead of the Void Rays, which is also a good choice. But oh no, way too many Void Rays remain. Oh, this is going to be bad news for WhiteRa. As long as those Void Rays are able to kill those Stalkers. Yes, we can see the Colossi just making an all-in push here, saying screw it. We just got to deal as much damage as we can before we die, but really not focusing down the right thing. Should be going for those probes who are now running away. That splash damage would do so much. And look at this, a Void Rays for Sider once again doing a ton to help his army win. And oh, WhiteRa just cannot produce. Oh man, he's slipping on his macro here. Really needs to be getting out these units right now. I'm not sure what he's doing. There we go, finally warping in some more units. Really not focusing on his production macro well enough after losing that battle, and these Void Rays will remain unchecked for quite a while on this map. Oh man, 84 Harvesters for WhiteRa. I really say that's way too many. I never like to suggest going past 75, and once you get into this mid-late game, kill off some of those. You can have 85 until you hit 200, and then kill off some. That's what I would suggest. This could be bad for Sidewinder though. He's got a lot of Void Rays which are now all fully charged, which is great, but he's not producing a ground army, which could become problematic. And okay, WhiteRa being smart here, not going in against fully charged Void Rays. These Void Rays should attack each other. Oh no, they lost their charge. They should have just quickly shot each other to keep full charge. Now these Stalkers will just deal so much damage to the Void Rays, which really they shouldn't run away as they're going to die anyways. And yeah, Sidewinder just does not have the production facilities to be able to keep up with this. He really needs more gateways and potentially another robo. We can see him throwing down that other robo. Oh, and a fleet beacon. Will we be seeing him transition into carrier play? I would much enjoy that if he doesn't die in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I really do want to see carriers just be used a lot more. They're a pretty effective unit.
Really interestingly, you can use carriers. I've seen some pro level players do this occasionally, where they'll just use carriers sort of as a, unit for harass. They'll actually use it the same way people traditionally have used Void Rays, and they'll just send, 2 or 3 carriers in, and they just have them there, just sort of as a, yeah, this is an option. Oh, and look at this. WhiteRa being very indecisive here, not choosing to go for anything. These 4 cannons, though, would have made a pretty decent defense. And, this army here, though, pretty weak. He might have been able to take it out, but I think he just wants to play it safe and not lose a battle, which he can win in a minute and a half from now. We see that Sidewinder really does favor those cannons, which can be useful at times because it really does keep your opponent from doing too much attacking on all of your extra bases. And sometimes it is great because you just need that extra time to get your army there. I also like to use a lot of gateways to form artificial walls to really slow down their armies, as gateways are the same price as cannons, but they take a heck of a lot longer to kill, giving your army time to get to that position and react. But, oh, Sidewinder just not producing enough. Going for the mothership, though, not carriers. He went for the mothership. That's why he got the fleet beacon, but really doesn't have enough production, and he's going to lose this game soon if he doesn't fix that problem. Not even going up to defend this base yet. So there we go, fine going, but letting his army get really split up. There we go, regrouping them, and deciding that this base is a lost cause, apparently. He just doesn't want to lose his army yet because he knows that his army is a little weaker. So we'll have to see. Those Void Rays really should be focusing down those Colossi, though, as they do the bonus damage versus massive, and there's so many Stalkers right now on the field. And really, the Colossi are what's going to make the world of difference, although those Void Rays really can pay it for themselves when the Stalkers, yeah, not being microed properly to take out those Void Rays. WhiteRa making this mistake for the 3rd time. Yeah, have you ever seen this sort of Void Ray play in PvP before? I really haven't seen it too much.
And I really missed that Planet Cracker ability that Mothership used to have.
Was that actually ever released into the actual game? I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't beta.
Yeah, it was just a beta. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty neat. I'm really, yeah, it's sort of too bad that they really nerfed the mothership so hard that it became a unit that's really, people only use it when they want to show off. It's really not something that's regularly used. And look at that massive production for WhiteRa, allowing him to get out a big army, have the big advantage, even though he has to walk all the way up to Sidewinder's base. So we can see having those production facilities makes a big difference. A Colossi getting sniped there, that is huge for WhiteRa.
And also I missed that Copper League that was from the beta. It was below bronze.
That was actually in the original game. I'm pretty sure that they removed Copper League not long after the original game came out, but I do believe it made it into the original game for a little while.
Yeah, because I started in that.
Yep, and we see these back doors. Oh, people, stop texting me. We see these back rocks getting taken out for this base. This could be pretty big, considering the army is not in position to defend this. What would be actually quite useful for Sidewinder is let the energy build up for the vortex on the mothership, and then allow his army to be just that much more mobile. Oh, and 2 Void Rays that were forgotten about by Sidewinder up here. Hopefully he'll remember now that they're under attack. But this base looks like it's going to go down, which really is going to suck for Sidewinder, as he really needs some macro right now. He really needs that income. Oh! Yeah, that harvest account showing a huge difference there in favor of WhiteRa. And still not many production facilities out for a Sidewinder. At least he does have turbo bays now, but still sitting on 3 gateways, which I really don't suggest this late in the game.
And WhiteRa just sits on his money too much. He doesn't effectively spend it.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but the problem with him is he's building very, very gas-intensive units, and he's not mining his gas properly. He's forgetting, oh, and complaining about his army getting taken out there, but really that was his own fault for some bad micro. But as I was saying, he's not good at mining his gas, and that's the reason why he's so mineral heavy, is he's building everything that requires gas. Everything requires gas in his army, other than probes, which don't... Oh, he has a few zealots, but still, a ton of gas. And oh, this is a bad position to engage. If that observer gets sniped, though, this could be big. No, the observer not getting sniped. Sidewinder not finding it to pick it off. Vortex being used there to take out those Colossi temporarily, which might make a big difference, but I really doubt it'll be enough to solve the game here. This Colossi should have been microed to hit these units, so it could have done splash damage. And yeah, we're going to see a GG within a couple minutes if WhiteRa pushes out, considering Sidewinder has absolutely no production and is not building anything either. Look at this base, all these probes, right for the picking. A single Colossi would just laugh. Have you ever seen Colossi drops? There we go, the GG coming out, and it looks like the game will be 1-1 with WhiteRa taking game number 2.